The thing that we hear most often from the folks who are for Yes on 8 and in the commercials and even from the website is that marriage needs to be protected. And I would like to know exactly what that threat is.
The threat is that you diminish the sanctity of the institution. Because marriage is a you can put limitations on it. You cannot marry your cousin, for example. You cannot have multiple spouses. You have polygamy. So you can set, society has the right for the health and the propagation of their population to sustain, can set the rules. And so, what right now we have traditional marriage does have a high rate. It is being diminished, and in a social experiment, the marriage rate further declines to the further detriment of their children. And so it's an overall effect. It's not the one cause of the demise of traditional marriage, but it is another factor, and that's why.
In Europe, in Sweden, where gay marriage has been legal, the number of weddings is actually going down. It's been just changed, and so it's not marriage anymore. And so if it's going to be diluted, it's just not that. What's the big deal? And also in the Netherlands, they have had their first polygamous union, two women and one man. And of course, a lot of you probably know that the birthplace, or not the birthplace, but one of the first places that legalized gay marriage.
So let me tell you about some research. Denmark, gay marriage has been legal since 1989, and opposition to the Danish law was led by the clergy, a lot like here, right? So a survey that was conducted at the time when it was being passed revealed that 72% of the Danish church clergy were opposed to the law. Right? That's a lot of folks. It sounds like something like we have, right? It was passed anyway, and the change in the attitude of the clergy there has been dramatic. A survey conducted in 1995 indicated that 89% of the Danish clergy now admit that the law is a good one and has had many beneficial effects. Okay, and I know when we're talking about this proposition, it's very hard to separate religion and law. Even right, the Constitution says we've got to keep them separate. Our religions inform us. Tolerance implies no lack of commitment to one's own beliefs. Rather, it condemns the oppression or persecution of others. The great enemy of the truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived, and dishonest, but the myth, persistent, persuasive, and unrealistic. A nation that is afraid to let its people judge the truth and falsehood in the market is a nation that is afraid of its people. Okay? So you can have religion and let it inform your own decision about it.
What is the justification as to why the boundaries of traditional marriage should be moved to include homosexuals, bisexuals, and transgender people, but continue to exclude other groups?
There's a lot of discussion around the concept of gay marriage that somehow a slippery slope exists that we'll slide into polygamy. I appreciate that you didn't ask the question that way. The contractual obligations between two people when they marry are many. And in some cases, if people who were polygamous entered into those contracts, they're certainly enforceable. But some of them are really unworkable from a legal standpoint. For instance, if a man were married to, say, 3 women, for instance, if any one of them were to be in an accident and be in the hospital, and one of them said, I think we should take her off the machine, and the other one said, no, I don't think we should, and the third one didn't know what to do, then the hospital doesn't have an opportunity. There's a great deal of legal wrangling that has to occur in order to solve that problem. There are a number of contractual obligations like that between two people where A and B are very clear. But when you talk about people who are polygamous, having 15 people or 10 people or 3 people in a contract makes many people legally unenforceable. And that situation, for instance, suggests that legalizing polygamy is not beneficial to society. There are all kinds of reasons why people who we can illustrate. For instance, you can't marry your child. I mean, that's obviously child molestation. It's obviously bad for the child, and so those kinds of laws certainly.
Well, I'm talking about just consenting adults, of course, not
I understand. Okay. I'm finished.
Can I just follow up on that? Today you might have noticed in the news, you might go to the internet and look this up. In Australia, there's one town there where a group of lesbian women were artificially inseminated by the same donor. I don't know if the number is 19 of them or 12 to 19. And 23, okay. They're worried now that those children are all going to grow up in the same town and intermarry. That is an unhealthy situation. The genetics get goofed up. That's like marriage with a cousin. So this is these are lesbian couples who asked to be artificially inseminated. They're now having children. Now, let me tell you, when we say society has the right to draw the line, to decide what is healthy in the long term, these type of issues will become more commonplace. It's happening in Australia. It's in the news today. And actually, it's the second incident. They've also got another group, and they actually had to physically move the kids away to different areas in the same article. So they would not get together and perhaps not know and be marrying their sister or brother, half sister, half brother. So these type of situations will occur or can occur. And another thing I just wanted to ask, if you are intellectually honest and you say the judges did not overstep their bounds, I want you to ask yourself this simple question. And I'll ask the fellow panelists this question. The judges said they overruled Prop 22. Okay? That's one paragraph again in the Family Code. If they overruled Prop 22, doesn't that just remove Prop 22 and take it back to the point in time where it was prior to Prop 22? And what was the definition of marriage prior to Prop 22? It was still marriage between a man and a woman. So to say this is not judicial overreach, I think you can't be intellectually honest and say that.
I don't think that's judicial overreach, and because the judiciary has historically taken on an issue found in the law that may occur in many different places. And when they rule on a specific case, it's understood to refer to all of the issues related to that case. And so there were, for instance, numerous cases before the Supreme Court in California about the gay marriage issue, and when they settled this one, the others just sort of went away. And so it's understood that once the issue is settled, it's settled in all cases, in all places where that law occurs.
Well, just to kind of follow up on that, Justice Corrigan, and I quote, "The principle of judicial restraint is a covenant between judges and the people from whom the power derives. It protects the people against judicial overreaching. It is no answer to say that judges can break the covenant so long as they are enlightened or well-meaning."
I would say there were 5 judges on the court who disagreed with her. 4. And I mean, we require our judiciary to have a majority vote. We don't require them to be unanimous. There's a reason why we allow for dissent, and judges are certainly entitled, based on their constitutional law history, to make decisions based on what they believe to be true about the Constitution. And there's bound to be some dissent. But the law says we are bound, whenever a decision is rendered, 4-3. Now, you might ask, what would I do if a case was decided that I disagreed with? I would do just exactly probably what you're doing. Attempt to undo it. I mean, again, as I said earlier, I understand that sometimes we make laws and then later on we decide we don't like them and we're going to change them. And we rely on citizens, just like all of us, on whichever side you're on, to work to make the changes that we want to see in the world.
But can't we agree on this then, that a vote of the people is the way you make law? That laws originate in your legislature that is elected by the people. Laws are not to be made by the justices.